Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy PK, and welcome back to some more Blue Protocol Star Resonance. Continuing on with the Chaotic Realm hard mode guides, we're going with the next one in line, which is the Kanamia Trial hard mode. Now, this one's going to be a little bit different, or pretty much the only one that's different compared to all the other Chaotic Realm dungeons, as this one doesn't have really any pathing that you have to worry about, but it does have options for the various trials that you could do. So, with that being said, let's just jump straight into it. Once again, when it comes to this dungeon, it is the only one of the Chaotic Realms that doesn't have a standard method of stage pathing. Instead, like the story mode variant, this one goes through multiple stages of trials in order to complete the spatial investigation. The first trial, once you load in, is a simple fight against one elite mob that you need to kill. The second trial offers a choice to pick between two groups of opponents, the left side being 4 elite mobs, and the right side being Kanamia Tribe warriors in waves. For a tip, choose the left side with the 4 elites as they are much easier and faster to take down than the other option. The third trial offers a choice between 2 trial paths, offering different objectives, the Will Trial or the Faith Trial. The Will Trial is one that you see on screen, where you must guide this warrior to the engram spots. And to do so, one player must stand in their ring at all times in order for them to move around. You will be taking damage in the process when you're in this ring. Everyone else fights off the mobs that spawn in order for the solo person to complete the trial. The Faith Trial, which I'll show right here, is a DPS check where the team wants to DPS down the shielded opponent while dodging the boulders coming in and blocking the electric balls from hitting the enemy. For a tip here, usually take the Faith Trial as it is easier to complete. And that is going to be it for the 3 stages of trials that you need to complete. However, there is one key thing to note about how the spatial investigation here operates. It doesn't just go off of defeating mobs, but rather goes off of clearing time and completing the necessary requirements for each trial to accrue points towards the spatial investigation. Failure to accrue enough points after the 3rd trial will offer a bonus 4th trial that you can do, hopefully to get enough points. However, failing that trial, or still just not having enough points necessary after completing that trial, will cause the spatial investigation to fail and will result in an instant loss for the team, and you will be reset back to the beginning. So essentially, to break it down, use the tracker on the top left side of the screen to know what must be done in each trial and how quickly it needs to be completed in order to guarantee the most points possible used towards the special investigation. Now that the initial trials are all out of the way and the spatial investigation is completed, interact with the NPC in order to spawn in the boss, Maximo the warrior, which I'll just call Max for this video. Same story here with Max. He has some normal attacks he can use and has 7 mechanics to look out for. First mechanic to note is the axe throw, where Max swings his axe and throws a spinning axe towards the edge of the arena. This spinning axe explodes every few seconds of travel, dealing massive AoE damage. However, it is pretty easy to dodge, and as long as you're watching where the axe moves, you can avoid it entirely and not take any damage from it. The second mechanic is one that many new players seem to get tripped up by, so pay close attention. It is called Soul Explosion, where Max spawns blue souls on up to 4 players depending on the difficulty of the stage. These souls, after a couple of seconds, will pop and place a blue flame on the location the affected player was standing when it popped. After some time has passed, Max raises his weapon and lets out a roar, causing the blue flames to open up and start pulling the players into the soul flames. Careful here, as touching the flame results in an instant death. Afterwards, those flames will explode and shoot projectiles towards different directions. Again, I've personally seen so many people tripped up by this one because they weren't aware of the proper way to handle this mechanic, so here's how you do it. First, if you see you are an infected player with the blue flame, you should always place yourself on the edge of the arena and spread apart from other affected players. You can see the NPCs do this here. This ensures that no one is accidentally placing a flame on the top of the boss or in the middle of the map, which will just cause it to be harder for the next part. Once the flames have been placed, the person with the boss aggro, usually always going to be the tank here, can return the boss back to the center of the arena to continue the fight. After some time has passed and he does his battle cry, if you have placed the flames properly and have them spaced out evenly, then simply running away from the flame should be enough. After that, you can just easily dodge the projectiles that shoot afterwards. But don't forget that you always do have your Phantom Dash ability at your disposal to help out here in case the pulling gets too strong. Again, placement of the flames is important here because putting too many of them close together will amplify the pulling effect, and in some cases it will make it impossible to run away from, causing a full team wipe. The third mechanic, which I didn't get any footage for, but it is the tried and true tank buster move, working the exact same as Tina's and the boss automaton. Once you see the red circle arrow indicators around the targeted player, the whole party should just stack together on top of that player in order to take the damage together. Easy peasy. Next is the fourth mechanic, the fire cone, where Max jumps to a northern spot of the arena and starts charging his axe with flames. A red cone telegraph appears on top of a randomly targeted player, and this move does have tracking, meaning that if you move, he will continue to track you and try to hit you with this move. After a couple of seconds, he slams down towards the player, creating a red cone of flames on the ground that will last forever, and standing in them will deal a great amount of damage over time. He also can do this mechanic multiple times within a given fight. Now, since these flames will last for the entire fight once they drop, you don't want to be like these goober NPCs here, letting them spawn all over the map. This will minimize the amount of safe areas to stand on, and depending on where the boss moves around, he will make it impossible for you to fight him without receiving some type of damage from standing on the flames. Instead, to make this mechanic a breeze, the first person that is targeted by the fire cone should move towards the side edges of the arena and away from the center. Once the first one has been placed down, every subsequent fire cone afterwards should be stacked on top of the first one every single time. This will make it easier to avoid, as now only one spot on the map is covered in flames, and keeping it out of the center will make this next mechanic easier to complete. For the next mechanic, which is the fifth one being the tribal spears, Max raises his weapon and becomes invulnerable and then slams the ground. He jumps away to summon 3 tribal totems on each side of the center, and the boss will also drop meteors on players to attack them, indicated by these circle telegraphs. To pass this mechanic, the team needs to work together here and destroy all 3 totems at the same time. Failing to take them down together, say for instance, the team destroys 2 at the same time, but then all of you guys end up running towards the last one to take it down, and unfortunately don't make it in time. Then the totems will reset in HP, dragging on this mechanic for longer, so destroying them all together at the same time is crucial here. Spread the DPS out evenly to each totem, and the other 2 members can assist to make it go quicker. The 6th mechanic is Axe Slash, where Max spawns a large red cone indicator directly in front of himself. Quickly after, he slashes with his axe twice. This attack is simple and straightforward. He usually targets the tank again, so everyone else simply avoid the area of damage, and the tank can use their damage mitigating skills like normal. Finally, for the 7th mechanic called Charge, a red arrow appears on top of an aggroed player, again always going to be the tank, and the boss charges up with flames around him before then charging directly towards the player. This attack can do massive damage if you get hit by it, and it does do a small AoE explosion after the charge is finished. But again, it's pretty simple to beat this mechanic. As always, if you're not the tank, just avoid the area of damage and standing in the charge path and you're good. And as the tank, you can run away and just use your mitigating skills to take less damage. And with that, you have officially cleared the trials and defeated Maximo the Warrior. Your rewards will be waiting for you in the reward screen, you little champion you. And with that guys, that's going to do it for today's video. As always, if you enjoyed this content, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel as it always helps me out a ton. And like I said, I'm going to try to get the rest of these hard mode dungeon guides out by the end of this week. I actually do have a trip out of the country that I'm planning starting next week, so I am going to be MIA for a little bit. Obviously, we'll be trying to plan some recordings to have while I'm gone, but I also will probably end up bringing my computer there. So I'll ultimately be able to record still, but again, just want to make sure I can get all of these guides out and ready for you guys. And as always, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out, y'all.